Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast. For the first time in 6 long weeks, Andy Spiteri, Dakota Lasky, back together again. Dak, how you doing, man? It's been a long journey to get back to the two of us in the saddle here. You were moving, I was away, but we're here now. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to have you back. I know I didn't get you a wedding gift or anything, but I think the best thing I could have given you was a break from me. So there you go. You're welcome. I'm glad to have you back. And
you know what? Actually, the best thing that you could have given me, you did give me. You edited the podcast for me, which is actually a really big thing. So I was talking about this on my other show, and so I started doing the Zelda podcast. It'll be 4 years ago in February,
wow.
And this break was the longest break that I've had in 4 years from editing, producing, and recording a podcast in 4 years. So it was or almost 4 years. So it was crazy. It was so surreal, but it was super, super nice. So yeah, thank you for editing. And you and Doom did a great job. I loved listening to those episodes. I popped when you guys booed me at booing on the Fusion. I thought that was so funny. It was a great listen. You guys did a great job.
Thanks, man. No, I'm glad that we were able to, step up to the plate, and I think we did a pretty good job. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and definitely, thanks again to Doom for coming through and helping out. He's obviously been on the show before, but it was really great to have him on as a co-host for a while. And yeah, we got some good chatting, and of course, he knows what he's talking about with the music stuff for sure, especially.
Oh my god!
So when we did that episode on the soundtracks, that was great because he just carried me. So shout out to you, man.
I felt like a little boy listening to that episode. He's talking about the isotope metric sounds, and I was just like, I like this noise. And man, he knows his stuff.
Definitely got educated there, but I'm glad to have you back, dude, and I'm glad to be talking more Metroid because Metroid Dread is literally a month away, so we got a lot to talk about.
It's absolutely wild. I feel like there's so much Metroid stuff that's happened in the last little bit. Of course, we got the trailer that we're going to be breaking down today. We got the Metroid Dread report. We got the long-awaited arrival of Axiom Verge 2, which we will talk about somewhere down the road. We've got our plates a little bit full right now, but I did finish that game, and I do have a lot of thoughts on it. But it's been a busy stretch here. So yeah, it's a lot to unpack, a lot to look forward to. I wanted to use this as a segue because I wanted to talk just the quickest little bit of wrestling with you because I know that you watched the AEW All Out last night. But I was thinking to myself today, I was like, man, finally getting Metroid Dread is like watching CM Punk come back after 7 years of not wrestling. Maybe that's not apt, but that's what it felt like to me. It was so awesome. But man, what a show last night. Oh my god.
No, I mean, I think you're definitely spot on because I don't think anyone really thought that CM Punk would come back. I mean, obviously there's always that what if factor, and that there's obviously a chance he could come back, but he was pretty solidly saying he was never going to come back for the longest time. And Metroid Dread was a game we thought would never come out, even though there were rumors and there's always a chance it could still come out. It never did for the longest time. So yeah, I'm with you there. Metroid Dread is the CM Punk of Metroid games, and I'm totally with that. And yeah, that was an awesome show last night. Definitely one of my favorite AEW pay-per-views and one of my favorite modern wrestling pay-per-views in some time. A lot of great matches. I'm really hyped that I got to see Kenny Omega and Christian Christian Cage. He's Christian to me, but he's also Christian Cage. I did watch him in TNA, but that was hype. I know that was a rematch, but still awesome. For the main event for the title was sick. Obviously, the finish was awesome. You even had you had reveals during this show. Ruby Soho coming back showing up in AEW.
That was, man.
Yeah, that was really cool.
When she hugged the ref and was crying coming out. I know most people listening to this don't want to hear about wrestling, but oh my god,
don't care.
If you're not a wrestling fan, you got to check out this show. It was so good.
The ending was so sick.
Pay-per-view I've ever seen.
I've seen a lot. I haven't seen that many pay-per-views. There's been so many pay-per-views, but it's definitely up there for me. The ending is one of the best of all time for sure. When Adam Cole came out, I was like, oh my god, they're about to do both of them at the same time. No, because everyone knew that Bryan Danielson was also showing up, and I think at this point it was kind of a done deal that they wanted to have his first match happen at the the Queen's Dynamite show.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, okay, that's definitely happening. Then when Adam Cole showed up, be like, oh my god, no freaking way. Like that, the whole show was sick. You know, the like we were saying earlier, the cage match, the tag team cage match was sick.
Oh my god, that cage match. I know I'm talking hyperbole here, but I think that might be, if that wasn't the best match I've ever seen, it's like top three. That was just unbelievable. My god.
Yeah,
My
there's a lot of
god.
good. There's a lot of good cage matches, so it's certainly up there though. It was really good, and I think the right team won, so that was awesome. And of
Yes.
course, you know the CM Punk Darby match was great. Like that was some solid wrestling. They did some really good spots. Right guy won. Both of them looked awesome. I mean, I think Darby came out of it looking really
Oh, he looked
great.
like $1 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know,
And so many people probably watched this just for CM Punk. Now they're going like, man, this Darby Allin guy's he's a stud.
yeah, I was very hyped. A lot like everything, even like the Paul White match was great because you know he squashed QT Marshall in 3 minutes. That was awesome. So can't be mad about that. Yeah, I thought that was an awesome show overall. Like start to finish, there wasn't really a match that I didn't enjoy. Even the Casino Battle Royale, even though the format's kind of weird, I enjoy that a lot. But yeah, I mean you put
Yeah.
Christian and Kenny Omega with tables, that's a banger right there. Darby versus CM Punk banger. Ending was awesome. Awesome pay-per-view.
Yeah. So good. Well, we'll stop talking about wrestling, but man, what a show. I still got it on my brain. I feel like I'm kind of like a casual wrestling fan, but watching that, I was like ready to be, pardon the pun, all in again. So like, yeah, it was such a good show. But let us get on to what we are here today to talk about, and that is the Metroid Dread Report number 6 trailer. Nintendo is calling this the Metroid Dread 2 trailer, and obviously, before we break it down, we have to put out there that this is going to be spoiler filled, such as it is. So if you're like our buddy Doom and you are trying to go in cold turkey, this is not the show for you. Okay, you can save this. You can come back and listen to it after you have completed Metroid Dread. But if you want to go in and you don't want to know some of the specifics about the Metroid Dread game and the intro, then make sure that you are not coming back to this, but or not listening to this rather. But I actually did want to have a conversation with you about this because I've seen like a couple of these articles making the waves around the internet, and I think one of them was from like Screen Rant or something like that.
Game
And it
rant.
was some goofy article, Game Rant, yeah, Game Rant,
Yeah.
and I think we're on the same page with this. But it was kind of like Nintendo spoiling too much of the game, and like they have a history of spoiling their own games. And I'm watching this, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like they very clearly said that what you see. Actually, you know what? Let's just say right now, before I finish what I'm about to say, spoiler warning is on. Spoiler warning is on. This is your last chance to turn back. Okay. All right. So
All
we got
right.
that out of the way. Now,
Okay.
they very clearly say in the Metroid Dread report that the opening confrontation with the Chozo is like the very opening of the game. Like that is how Samus loses all of her abilities. So I'm like, you're probably gonna see this in like the first, let's say, hour. I don't know, maybe not even of the games. Like how much of a spoiler is that really? Now I think that you could maybe say that that the Kraid thing was a little bit of a spoiler, and maybe could have been a good surprise. But like also, I feel like maybe you do want to market that to new people, and they're just like, oh my god, what is this, like what is this Godzilla looking beast? Or even to Metroid fans, and they're just like, oh my god, Kraid is back. Like if I maybe I'm a lapsed fan that hasn't played a Metroid game since Super Metroid, but like now the Kraid is in here, like I got to get this now. I don't think there was really any downfall to showing it, and it got me thinking of like what I even thought a spoiler was in kind of the context of what everyone else is talking about. And like I mean, I think if they revealed like the end twist of the game, or like if they showed a cutscene of like a crucial plot moment of the game, then yeah, I think that you could say that they're spoiling it. Like if Metroid Fusion had in the trailer like this Adam Malkovich guy is actually the computer, like okay, that's a spoiler. But I think that what we've seen so far for Dread, for me, doesn't really constitute anything in the way of spoilers, and I think you feel the same. Is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been saying too. Like, this is stuff that, yeah, it's like not information we would have had otherwise, but it's not, revealing a twist. It's not resolving a plot line and something like to that degree. So I think it's totally fine. Like, how can you not show off that scene? It looks super awesome. Like Samus going like Shadow of the Colossus style on Kraid. Like that's crazy. Like it looks like such an awesome cutscene and like boss fight that's gonna happen. So of course you got to show that off. We already know the Dark Chozo are involved in the game, so it's no surprise that like we're gonna fight them. So that's not really a spoiler. I think just some people are, I don't know. Maybe they just really don't want any information, but you got to give some information to, entice some people to, get the game. Not everyone's just going to get it because it's Metroid Dread. Like I've seen some
Right.
people pushing lately, like, oh, just posting like buy Metroid Dread on, and I'm always against like those spamming kind of campaigns where you just spam like do this or do that, like buy this and support this without actually showing why. I think there's so many awesome things about Metroid Dread that you can easily show off to entice people to be interested in the series and buy the game. I think the stuff they showed off in this trailer is exactly what that is. You show off like Samus doing all these cool new abilities. You show off, Samus taking on Kraid or whatever. Like that's stuff that you show to people to get them to want to play Metroid Dread, not just telling them buy Metroid Dread, it'll support the series. Who cares? Like what really matters is that the game's good and awesome and that we should want everyone to play it. So that's kind of how I felt about it, and that's why I feel like the seeing this kind of stuff in the trailer is good, because to Metroid fans they instantly recognize some of this stuff and they show that it's a big deal, and to someone who's unengaged they might not know who Kraid is, so they're like, oh, like you said, like, oh, there's a cool awesome monster that Samus is fighting, or like that's sick, or they find out that like the Kraid's a big deal and now they're like, oh wow, like this is a big deal, look at all these Metroid fans talking about this, clearly this is a big deal, clearly I have to check this out. Like that's how this kind of stuff works, and I feel like it's great. I'm honestly glad that they're doing this. I said this on the Glentendo podcast that I was guesting on, by the way. Shout outs to them. The Glentendo podcast that Glenn does, my boy, along with Koopa. And I was talking about this on that show as well. Is that rather than like overshare than undershare. I'd rather them give out too much information and show off all the awesome stuff this game has, and maybe, quote unquote, spoil some aspects of the game for people, even though it's at the beginning, rather than
Right.
undersharing and potentially not enticing some people to play the game at all.
I think you could make a case if like if this fight with the Dark Chozo was, let's even say, midway through the game, maybe that could be construed as more of a spoiler. Um, Certainly if it was like one of the final bosses of the game and it's like, but I mean, you already knew that the Chozo was showing up, as you said. Like they showed him in the first Metroid Dread trailer, which was, I think, like if you've shown him then, like you might as well show more, right? And that was kind of where I was at with it. And then I saw some people, kind of lamenting about the abilities, and I was like, well, that one I feel like I'm just really not in that same camp about, because like,
That's
dude,
not
is it a spoiler
spoilers.
that we're getting the speed booster back? I mean, like that's sweet to me as a Metroid fan, because that's my favorite power up in the series, and like I'm just like, oh man, I'm even more excited for this game, and I think that was the purpose behind
Yeah, of
showing off a
course.
lot of things like the flash dive, or not the flash dive. What did we
The
call it
flash
again?
shift.
The
See, I
flash shift.
told
There
you
we
it's
go.
not. It doesn't roll off the tongue. It's just an air dash.
No,
It's such a good
it,
ability. How do you not show that off? Like that's the kind of stuff like that. The storm missile, like all that kind of stuff is like, this is sick gameplay. You gotta show off the work that the developers are putting in. Like, how do you not show off before the game launches that Samus can air dash twice? Like that's sick. It's the same thing as like, imagine if before Halo 3 they didn't show off any of like the equipment, which was new to Halo at the time. And like, you remember that trailer where like the Starry Night trailer where Master Chief throws down the bubble shield? Like that's before Halo 3 ever came out, and that's an equipment, piece of equipment that was part of Halo 3 that was not part of an original Halo game before that. That would have been quote unquote spoilers, but like that's a big aspect of the game. Of course you got to show that off. So it's, I think a spoiler is something that reveals a twist or resolves an ending or is like a major piece of information that drastically changes like your perspective on the game, or something like Kraid showing up in a Metroid game is cool, and it's but I don't. Is it really spoilers? Maybe if Kraid's the major bad guy,
Right.
if Kraid was the
If he's the
antagonist,
mastermind, then that's a
yeah.
spoiler. But
But if it's just
something
Kraid
tells me he's
showing up,
not.
no, exactly. It just looks like Kraid is shows up and Samus is like, oh, I've already beaten this guy, like, and he can't move. He's big and he's not going anywhere. And you can see that reaction in the trailer where Samus doesn't even move, like as Kraid lunges at her. So yeah, I don't think that anything we saw in these trailers are major spoilers. I think people kind of overreacted. I can understand maybe wanting to have saved, finding out about Kraid before play, until they actually played it for themselves. Okay, I think that's fine, but I don't necessarily think that that's like an objective, outright horrible spoiler and something that Nintendo shouldn't have showed off, because I'm glad that they did.
I think for context, and this is the last thing that I'll mention before we move on until the actual trailer, but let's say I think that the placement of the things that you're showing in your game really counts, because let's say for context that Kraid was kind of like the Proteus Ridley of Metroid Dread, where like you beat the game and then afterwards it's like
Exactly.
this bonus boss, or it's like it's Kraid. I don't think that that's going to happen. I feel like you're very likely going to fight Kraid on your way to like the gravity suit or something.
Kraid might be
that,
like the
right?
first boss. Or like the second, not
Yeah.
the first boss, because we know Corpius is like the first boss, but he could be like the second or third boss. Like, yeah, this is all stuff that's very clearly happening at the very beginning, if not most of like the beginning of the game. It's not. It doesn't even seem like it's stuff that would be second act or midpoint of the game at all. So, yeah, I don't.
And to be fair, you do see a quick shot of Samus using the screw attack, but and usually that's a power up that you get towards the latter half of the game. But I mean, like, who cares? Like, that's just a quick second of her using an ability.
Yeah,
that
but
we all
maybe
knew
it's
was
not
gonna
this
show up
time.
anyways. And yeah, maybe it's not.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not.
that could be early.
Metroid has definitely kind of moved away from having the screw attack as like the ultimate power up, and like now I feel like the power bombs are the ultimate power up in the game. And that
Yeah.
actually that all started with Zero Mission. So yeah, maybe it's not towards the end of the game at all. That you know what? But okay, one last thing before we move on. I can only think of one time in my life where I watched a trailer and I was just like, "Oh my god, they spoiled the entire thing. What's the point of watching it now?" And that was the Batman versus Superman trailer, where they showed Doomsday, they showed Wonder Woman, and I was like, "Why do I need to see this movie now?" And in hindsight, I probably didn't need to see that movie because the trailer pretty much gave you everything you needed to know. So they definitely didn't pull that with this trailer. I'll say that.
No, definitely not. Like, we don't even remotely see a majority of the game. Like, we might have seen, like, a decent portion of, like, the power-ups or upgrades, but I think that's fine because those are the aspects of the game that are going to carry you to the other parts of the game we haven't learned about yet. So I'm very
Right.
glad that we know about, like, the air dash, and now I'm super excited. Like, wow, I cannot wait to break some ankles. And I wonder, now that we know like the ice missile exists, or is the diffusion missile going to be there? Are we going to get other stuff? If Kraid's there, who else? It's these spoilers aren't anything that answered much. They, if anything, they kind of raised more questions, right? Like, now that we know Kraid's back, like, well, who else could be back? This upgrade's back. What else can they do? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally, totally. All right, we've talked wrestling, we've talked spoilers, we've talked Batman versus Superman. Let's get to the actual trailer itself. The trailer is 2 minutes and 4 seconds, but we'll see if we can spend a little bit more time than that breaking it down. Dak, are you ready?
I am. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, so let's start it off. I'm gonna hit play in three, two, one, play. So 3, 2, 1, play. We got that great Nintendo Switch snap. Gotta love it.
Yeah,
Okay, so
is what it is.
let's actually pause it right here at 5 seconds because people are calling this the Dread power suit. I think because they've got the traditional orange shoulder pads, the orange.
I mean, various suit.
all around you, right? Or yeah, I'm sorry, the very suit.
Yeah.
The power suit is the green one. Although I have just been calling that the Dread suit or the
the blue one.
greenish turquoise one.
Yeah.
It's kind of turquoise-ish. I feel like.
Really?
Anyways,
Okay.
I think so. Let us know where you're at with that at Omega Metroid Pod. But so this is taking place at the beginning of the game when Samus gets, as the Metroid Dread report calls it, quote, ability amnesia. So I have to believe that you land on planet ZDR in your various suit, and then transition into the Dread suit after this confrontation with this Dark Chozo leader. And I wonder. I have a theory that we'll get to at the end of the video here, but yeah, it seems very much that you start off with this orange Varia suit, which I don't know. I feel like I've seen some people saying that because we're calling it the power suit and it's the blue dread suit that we're going to upgrade into this orange Varia suit, and I actually think that it's the reverse. Where do you land on that?
Well, what it seems to me, here's my theory, is Samus shows up at the beginning of Dread in this like yellow gold whatever, like this is the Various suit. She shows up in this. Then she fights Kraid. Like it's gonna be like I think Kraid is gonna even though we saw Corpius first, I think Kraid is the first boss of the game. Unless I'm wrong and I'm pretty sure Kraid's the first one because we see in that cutscene Samus fighting Kraid in this like Various suit and not in the Dread suit. So I'm thinking she fights Kraid in this suit. That fight happens, and she has like all her abilities and whatnot. And then she's confronted by the Dark Chozo. Dark Chozo beats her up, whatever. She has ability amnesia, and that's when she falls back to the Parasuit variant, which is the blue version that we've already seen at the beginning. And then she goes and fights Corpius and goes from there, and then re-upgrades back to the Various suit that we see at the beginning of the game here, and then goes from there because we know that she also gets the gravity suit. So likely it's the blue power suit, the dread suit, and then you have this white and yellowish gold orange whatever suit, the Varia version, and then you have the gravity suit, the purple version of the dread suit.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much spot on. Actually, I think that we're gonna have this suit first, and then the dread suit second, and I think we're gonna spend a good amount of time in the dread suit because that's how that's the amiibo that they made. That's most of the marketing that we've seen before this trailer. Even the thumbnail for this trailer has Samus in the dread suit with like the blue shoulder pads or the turquoise shoulder pads. So yeah, I think that we're going to start off the game with the Varia, and then we're going to lose that at the end of this confrontation. Actually, so let's resume play here and
Yeah. I mean,
watch
I think
Samus
it's
roll into this room.
yeah, it's pretty much the Varia. I mean, like the Omega suit that she kind of ends with at the end of Fusion, and then and then it's by now it's gone back to this like mechanical version, and then she goes from there.
Oh my god! So we got to stop on this Chozo. He just looks so menacing. So we're at 18 seconds here, and in fact we can go back just like a half a second and look at kind of his torso here. So this Chozo warrior, who we have nicknamed the Dark Chozo, this guy has a I mean, basically he's wearing a power suit. He's wearing the same power suit as Samus. He's got the arm cannon on his left arm. He's got kind of the similar, like even to the dark suit. It had those kind of grooves inside, like you can see it on his leg, right at the top there. He's got those same kind of I don't know what you'd even call it, like an indentation. Not quite shoulder pads, but he's got the I don't know the shoulder somethings. They look badass. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love this guy.
Just like so menacing. It's awesome to see like a foe that's kind of like similar to Samus in physicality, but like obviously outpowers them. This reminds me actually of like when you see Bane just beating the hell out of Batman in The Dark Knight. It's a physical foe. It's not a psychological foe like the Joker was. The Dark Chozo is obviously going to be a physical threat, a physical presence, and one that is very clearly more powerful than Samus.
Yeah, that's what I love about this is that Samus doesn't look like completely weak at all, but she clearly has enemies that are, outpower her at the beginning, which is awesome. You don't have a character that just seems weak overall, and then of course everything seems stronger. Like Samus is clearly still a strong character, but has the Emmys and now the Dark Chozo to deal with. I love this follow up from like the Samus Returns Chozo memories. We finally seeing these Dark Chozo in 3D, and I love like the dichotomy between like Samus's power suit, which is all functionality, and for the most part, and then you have like the Dark Chozo suit, which has like the regalia, and it shows off more of, clearly this is kind of like a leader type Chozo of some sort, or at least kind of showing off more of like the Dark Chozo, I guess, clan here, right? Like it's not just a suit for function. So clearly this isn't just some rando Dark Chozo soldier, right? Like this is I would have to assume someone of importance, and that arm cannon
This looks
looks
like the
sick.
head honcho to me.
It could very well be
He,
the head honcho. Yeah,
he looks like a VIP for sure.
yeah. I love like the
Actually,
helmet. Looks sick. Looks like the headdress. Like, I love it. And yeah, the pauldron's awesome.
I want to go back to and just make note of two things. So 15 seconds at this trailer, Samus is walking up and Samus has swagger, which is awesome. And we saw that in the last trailer as well when she was fighting Corpius. But I it makes me so happy to see that like she's walking up to this badass looking Chozo. She must know it's a Chozo. She probably knows that he's like gonna overpower her, but she's got her cannon up. She's ready to go. She ain't backing down. Love the presentation of Samus in that way. And if you fast forward just a little bit to 17 seconds, we'll go back in the close up of the torso of this Chozo warrior. You can see he's got the red sashes, and those have like embroidered golden Chozo language. And actually, a couple of our buddies over on Twitter, Torvis and a couple of his crew, are doing kind of a deciphering project because apparently there's like a whole alphabet of these triangular, I don't know what you call them, letters, I guess, and they're trying to decipher exactly what it means. So if you're interested in that, our friends over there, I think he's got his own Discord server. You could probably check him out and see what they've learned.
Yeah, that's. I really want to like know more about this character, so I really can't wait to find out what that all says. I still love the arm cannon though. I love how Mercury Steam has gone with the as arm cannons that are big and chonky, both for Samus
Yeah,
and
this
now
thing
for
looks
the Dark
awesome.
Chozo.
Going with the Bane motif again. It's got like the venom just serrated to the sides of the arm cannon, about
Yeah,
to fire it up and pump it up. Yeah, this arm cannon looks just awesome.
yeah. I love this
All right,
suit
let's
overall, and it's like such a cool like evolution of like the suit we know. So
very sleek, very menacing, very just looks formidable. That's the
I
word
want
that
this
keeps
in
coming back
Destiny
into my
2.
mind.
I'm like looking at this guy. I'm like, this guy has got all the cool exotics. Really cool character. Wish I could have that in Destiny.
Imagine if this guy shows up as the last fighter, in
That
the
would be
Smash pack.
sick. Like just
That'd be so good.
a top tier DLC version of Samus. Oh my god, I can see the salt already.
Oh, people would hate it, but we would love it.
Yes.
We would love it. All right, let's resume playing. We're at 17 seconds here. So let's watch a little bit more and see how far we get before we pause again. Metroid Dread, we got those Chozo hieroglyphics in the background. It seems like we're gonna like really peel back the curtain on the Chozo in this game. Let's pause it for a quick sec here.
Whew.
Before we go on and talk about the gameplay, actually, I wanted
Oh.
to give my 2 cents on a question that I asked you guys last week, and that was about the mystique of the Chozo kind of being pulled away a little bit by seeing so much of them. I actually think your answer, Dak, was perfect, and that was kind of my answer.
Thank
where,
you.
like, yes, it does take away a little bit, but I think it's time. I think it's time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been long enough, right? Like the whole time
Yeah.
they've been in the background, they show up in the environment, and they're really this kind of ulterior behind the scenes force. This almost, and maybe not even behind the scenes, just not active in the story. And I think now is the time to have them active in the story, and as a result, yeah, that's going to definitely peel back some of the layers and some of that mystique. But again, at the same time, just with these other, quote unquote spoilers like we were talking about earlier, I think some of what we're seeing here is giving us, these things are giving us more questions rather than just entirely giving us answers, right? Like, sure, we're learning more about the Chozo, and that kind of peels back some of the mystique, but even some of this trailer, like, we don't know what these hieroglyphics mean at all, so now I have more questions, like, I'm looking at all this stuff and I have more questions, and I'm certain that we're not going to learn maybe everything about the Chozo in this game either, so, who knows what's going to happen in the game that comes after Metroid Dread, if there's still some more to talk about. So, who knows where we go after that. So I don't think we're going to necessarily get to the root of everything here, because a lot of what this game is going to be about is wrapping up the current story with Samus and the Metroids and all that, but I think also setting up the next story, which I think will be probably more Samus and Chozo based, right? And rather than Samus and Metroid based. So I think a lot of what we're going to see is going to be setting the foundation for what comes next. So maybe some more added mystique will be there. So who knows?
Yep, I totally agree. Okay, well let's get back to the trailer here. I am paused, at 31 seconds, and I've got a still image of Samus here. So we just saw her using the air dash. I
Whew!
already forget what the game actually calls it.
You
The
the
flash,
flash shift. I feel like that's so
the
funny you
flash
forgot
shift.
because I was like, yeah, this doesn't roll off the tongue. You're like, oh, I love flash shift, and then you've forgotten every single time what it's called.
I this isn't the last time I'll forget it either.
The
I
air
guarantee
dash,
you, I'm gonna
man.
forget it next time too.
Look at that.
So she's got an air dash. This looks awesome. It's right out of. I mean, it's out of a lot of games, but for me, this brings to mind playing Ori and the Blind Forest, which makes great use of the air dash. So it seemed like maybe they were just like, you know what, this works in Metroidvania games. Let's get it over. Let's bring it to Metroid. It really looks like, and we'll see this. We'll talk about this later when we see the speed burst. But man, it just like really looks like they are like, how do we make this the most fast-paced, momentum-filled Metroid game that we can possibly make it? This game just looks so slick. The movement options just look incredible. I'm really excited to utilize this.
Yeah, the fighting game player in me just loves seeing this. This is some Marvel right here. I love this option because you can do it facing forward, or like, you can do it going forward while you're facing forward or go backwards while you're still facing forward. So you can do it to, clear gaps and maybe just get that little bit of extra distance you need on a jump, or you can use it to like close the gap on an enemy, but you can also use it to dash back and do an attack from, like a fadeaway kind of shot, right? And get some distance between you while, you can get some distance on the enemy without having to turn around, or jump or something
Yep.
like that. So you can dash backwards with your air dash and still be facing and immediately act out of the dash as you're, getting back into those active frames and deal some damage. So it looks really cool. I love how you can, go forward in that way, but also use it in kind of a defensive manner and mix up your enemies, which is really sick to watch.
Yeah, it looks awesome, and you can use it consecutively up to 3 times, according to the Metroid Dread report. So that's going to come in, I think, very, very handy.
Three times?
So
I think I only saw it
yeah,
used twice in a row in the trailer, but 3 times? Oh
three
my
times.
god. First,
So I mean,
ugh.
it is an Aeon ability, so you're going to, you're gonna use your Aeon when you use it, which is probably good because I think if you can like spam air dash, that maybe breaks the game a little bit. It's kind that's what other M did actually a little bit. You could just press the up button
Hmm.
continuously and you would dodge every single move. So it is nice to see it grounded a little bit, but yeah, 3 times. That's we gonna be moving fast,
Well,
and it's gonna be awesome.
Metroid Dread added this. Nick All Stars Brawl has air dashing. Love to see it. Yeah, I'm curious if this isn't like an intangible air dash or not, because at the very least, like I'd be okay with maybe it being a little more flexible or unlimited if you could still take damage, because it's not like an auto dodge because you still are, you're moving in only one direction. It's not going to like place you in a safe spot. And if it's not, intangible and you can still take damage or it can be interrupted, then it's not something you can safely spam in like all situations. So I do think the 3 limit is probably more than enough. I mean, 3 dashes at that point, if you can't make it happen, you're,
Yeah.
you don't deserve it.
Rethink your
So
jump if you
yeah.
can't do it in 3. Okay, so I'm paused at 31 seconds. Before I hit play, I do have 2 things that I want to quickly note here. First, we see Samus firing the Spazer beam, so we've got 3. This looks like fireballs actually, or maybe that's coming from the enemy. I better rewind just to be sure of my facts here. But it looks like the Spazer is definitely back, and it also looks like the charge beams. Oh no, that was definitely Samus using that. So the
Hmm.
charge beam doors from Samus Returns are also back. So probably not the biggest revelation in the world, but those are indeed a thing and that are coming back, which is good.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, so let's hit play. So we've got some more action. Samus is zipping around. We are cutting through to the fight with the Dark Chozo and Samus here. Oh, and okay. First of all, let's pause at let's say 33 seconds. Well, let's say 34 seconds. So let's pause at 34 seconds. We see what I'm assuming is going to be an awesome. I think this is a cutscene. Maybe you'll actually have a boss fight in here. One of those ones that like you can't win, or maybe it's kind of like the Ridley fight from Super Metroid, where like you can fight long enough, but then the cutscene will trigger eventually.
Hmm.
Awesome cinematics here between the Dark Chozo and Samus. They are just going at it, and this fight is kind of interspliced throughout this entire trailer, but what a wicked looking fight, and just like what a gorgeous looking game that we've seen so far.
Yeah, this is another question that we talked about in the Q&A, Duminil and I, where, what do we prefer, like the 2D or 3D? And I think this is still, another reason why I prefer the 3D, because these cutscenes just take it to a whole new level. And when they're done right, like the cinematics are just so awesome. Like you don't need any words spoken, just action. Actions speak louder than words, and you're seeing some awesome Samus and some awesome, Metroid action and combat out of these cutscenes. I don't know if we'll get an actual fight, but just seeing like, the different perspectives you get and all the different effects they can do and how awesome it looks. Like this is just, a 2D Metroid on the Switch, and these cutscenes are really, really good. In terms of not just how they look, but I think how they're animated is just awesome. Everything has like impact and weight to it. Like Samus sliding past that blast, you can see it like blow up in the background, like the air that this Dark Chozo gets. And I love the design of the Dark Chozo team being taken advantage of in these cutscenes, where you're not just seeing them stand around, like these things jump around in big claws and firing off lasers and whatnot. Like this is awesome. So I love that Mercury Steam is not only trying to make it look good gameplay wise, but in the cinematics, I think this is exactly how you do a Metroid cinematic. Like few to no words at all, just straight up action. And giving us exactly what we need to know about these characters in a few moments.
Yeah, in letting us know these characters through their actions, which is I think that Nintendo really did take that lesson to heart. I really do. I think that they realized why people like Samus, and it's clearly evident that Mercury Steam understands why people like Samus. Yeah, you brought up that question that you and Doom talked about last week, and Doom said that he liked the 2D style.
Yes.
And you know what? I do too. I love the 2D style, but I think that I love the 2D style because it was the best at the time, and it still looks great. It never ages. It always looks great. But man, if you could have Metroid Fusion or Super Metroid remade
Exactly.
in a way that looks like Metroid Dread, I mean, I'm gonna take that. It just looks so impressive. I think so. Yeah, I was with you on that. All right, well, let's go forward here a few seconds. Let's pause at we got the big reveal coming up at 38 seconds. Oh my God, I was on my honeymoon. Me and my wife went for a little mini moon because we couldn't go anywhere lavish, obviously, because of the flight situation right now. So we went to a resort, and we stayed at this like really nice resort. There's like flower petals everywhere. We walk into the room. I look at my phone, and I'm like, wow, this is romantic. Hold on, there's a new Metroid trailer, and Kraid is in it. Are you kidding me? So the first thing I did was I watched this trailer, and I just like absolutely, completely popped off. Watching Kraid come back. This guy has not been in a Metroid game since Metroid Zero Mission. That was like over 15 years ago. 15 years ago. This dude, oh my God, to see him back was so awesome. I do think it would have been cool in a Metroid Prime game. Hopefully that can still happen, but just the euphoria, the joy of seeing Kraid back in the saddle. Oh my God, I was like, just unbelievably, I popped so huge. I love to see it. He's my boy. I was so happy. I was so happy to see Kraid.
Yeah, nothing really sets the tone and the vibe really, or the mood on your honeymoon than creating a new Metroid game.
Yeah, man. After I saw this, I was like, hello.
Yeah. No, I was really excited for this. I do agree that it would have been cool to see Kraid come back and maybe Metroid Prime, maybe as Meta Kraid. But honestly, I think this works better because when I think of like a classic 2D Metroid boss, you got to think of Kraid. You think of like the Super Metroid fight, you think of the Zero Mission fight. So I think Kraid coming back as like alongside of 2D Metroids also coming back I think works really well thematically. Like this, they can just do another rematch, have Samus versus Kraid 3. At Wrestle Kingdom 11, like it's something just crazy like that, where just you get the rematch, and whether it's actually Kraid or not Kraid, like whatever. I think at the end of the day, this is really cool to bring Kraid back at the same time as you bring back 2D Metroid, kind of overall, really, with a new 2D Metroid. I think this is very fitting, so I'm glad to see him back. Though I really do hope they do like a Meta Kraid in Metroid Prime 4. Maybe they will. Maybe with all the reaction that we've seen with with Kraid and Dread. Maybe Retro's like, if they're not already working on it, they're probably like, maybe we do got to bring this guy back and just we got to one up their Kraid and have an even better Kraid in our game, and we just have the Kraid race and just who can get the better Kraid. And I'm totally about that because I love seeing these classic bosses come back and done right. I mean, even for all its faults, Other M I think did a pretty good job with that with Phantoon. So,
And Nightmare, actually.
and Nightmare, and then of course
Yeah.
Samus Returns brought back Ridley in their way, and I think was awesome as well. So if it's done right, of course whether that's done right is subjective, but I think in this case they did an awesome job, and I think having this fight as one of the big kind of show off boss fight for the beginning of the game. Because Corpius is one thing. Corpius is cool, but Corpius is kind of like a mini boss. It's like the Arachnus of the game. I would think like this is a big boss right here. This is
Yeah.
showtime. So I think it's good that we get to see this. I do think this will probably be the big first boss of the game, and I'm very excited to see like how this is. Kraid getting out of those chains? Is he gonna break free? Is he gonna get away from the restraints? Is he gonna be let loose? Is Samus gonna what's Samus gonna be able to do against him? So I'm really excited to
You
see
know
how
what
this
I could
plays
see?
out.
I could see this maybe ending up being like when you fight Ridley in Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, and you fight him at the beginning of the game, you fight Meta Ridley, and then at the end of the game he kind of
Oh.
shows up and he's Omega Ridley. Like that would be sick if this is kind of like the appetizer fight. Because yeah, I do think that this is at the beginning of the game. We still see Samus in her various suit, and Kraid is definitely shackled up, and it's like first of all, why is Kraid shackled up? But second of all, man, he's got to break out of there, right? And when he does, you got to figure he's going on some kind of rampage that only Samus is going to be able to stop. I love that Kraid is like right up in her face too, and Samus doesn't move. Very cool. And you know what? Speaking of Prime and bosses that come back, you know who we never talk about, who might be a cool candidate to come back in a Metroid Prime game, is Dragon from Super Metroid. I think that could actually be a pretty neat fight because like think about it. He could fly around. He could grab you, and maybe there could be like the little like I don't know bee or whatever's that you grab onto with your grapple, and you can slowly electrocute him. I think that could be a cool prime fight, actually.
I've always wanted to see Ceres come back from Fusion. That's
Yeah,
one
that
of
would
my
be good
favorite
too.
boss
Yeah,
fights, and in Prime, I think that would be perfect. Like just have a whole platforming segment where Ceres just taking out platforms and flying all over the place and whatnot. And you got to jump around and take them out. Like yes, definitely do that. If I'm always down for new bosses, but at the same time, like there haven't been so many Metroid games where we fought the same boss over and over and over again. Obviously, Ridley is the exception to that rule, but for the most part, I think we haven't seen so many bosses too many times where like seeing them again is that bad. Like you said, last time we
right.
saw Kraid was Zero Mission, so to have him back now is really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the trailer here. We'll get back on track in a second, but really quickly off the top of my head, the only bosses in the entire Metroid series that you fight more than one time: Ridley, Kraid, Phantoon, Nightmare, Dark Samus, uh, I don't Arachnus,
Yeah, and
and
even then, you don't really fight them that many more times. Like you only fight Nightmare twice. It's not like Nightmare shows up,
yeah,
every other game or something like that.
yeah. So I agree with what you're saying. I think that could be pretty cool. All right, well, I'm paused at 38 seconds here. I'm about to hit play, so let's get it going. Uh, Man, that's just a badass shot of Samus charging her cannon, and a badass shot of Samus underwater here.
Yeah, likely just before she gets
So
the gravity suit.
really quickly going back there to I want to say about 46 seconds. Samus actually performs a either a space jump or a double jump. It looked like just more of a double jump to me, which actually is something that we have never seen in Metroid before. It's usually always been just a regular jump or the high jump or the space jump. So that could be kind of cool if that's a direction that we're going. Because I think that you can. I think that the space jump can be a little bit janky sometimes, and sometimes just having a regular old double jump would be fine with me.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I think this just makes sense. It pretty much streamlines the game a little more, which is seemingly the intent of Dread in a lot of ways, gameplay wise, story wise. So happy to see that.
So I paused it to talk about the double jump at 47 seconds. But actually, it looks like we are in kind of a Chozo hall of some sorts here. It looks very cool. There's staircases, a Chozo statue, and either either this isn't as early in the game as we think because Samus has 100 missiles, but only one energy tank, or you can just find a crazy amount of missiles really fast, or you start off with a crazy amount of missiles. Either way, I'm okay with that. Samus is in her Varia suit here, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
this could even be like different gameplay sessions or campaigns, patched together. Like we're seeing clips where she's got 129 missiles and several tanks available, and then
yeah,
195 and more than that. But then she's over at only has 107 and a similar amount. So who knows? But yeah, maybe the game's just going to give you a ton of missiles to work with, which I'm okay with. And we also
speaking
see
of
the ice missile
actually,
come back too.
yeah, this is the ice missile, so that's
Yes.
making its triumphant return from Metroid Fusion, and maybe Samus is still unable to have the ice beam, even though she had it at the end of Metroid Fusion. I'm not sure. I do like that they didn't keep the gimmick from Samus Returns of having like the beams, the ice beams, and then the grapple beams. It looks like everything is just all in one, in the same section, which is nice. So I like to see that.
Yeah,
And
we
actually,
yeah.
speaking of, there is a new ability here, and it is called the Cross Bomb, and this powerful bomb explodes in four directions, according to the Metroid Dread report. So this looks pretty like badass. It looks like a quick way to break some blocks in front of you. I mean, there's nothing worse than like when you're slowly rolling, stop, bomb, block explodes, roll to the next one over, and it takes you forever to get to it. So I really like this. Again, it looks like they're really just like trying to find ways to speed up the gameplay experience of Metroid Dread.
Yeah, yeah, I like the multi bombs. I think it just makes sense because anytime you kind of use the morph ball bombs, you spam them as many as you can anyway. So this kind of streamlines that. I'm sure you won't have that available to you immediately, and probably not until the midpoint of the game. So by then, you'll definitely have more use to get as many blocks out of your way as possible. And going back to the ice missile, I'm excited to see that back. I'm not sure. I'm guessing with like the transition from fusion to dread that as Samus kind of her suit goes back from the entirely organic or mostly organic to like what we see in Metroid Dread. Maybe she kind of loses some aspects of like the Omega suit, so maybe she can't entirely use like all the stuff we see at the end of Metroid Fusion. Maybe it's kind of just
Mm-hmm.
temporary. Who knows? Maybe, I'm excited to see if maybe we get the diffusion missile back though, because the ice missile appears in Metroid Prime 3, and it appears in Metroid Fusion, and then you can upgrade it to the diffusion missile, which gives you that the AOE kind of burst afterward, which is one of my favorite upgrades in Metroid Fusion. So I'd love to see that come back as well.
Yeah, I thought that the diffusion missile was a very cool touch and kind of opened up a lot of puzzle opportunities in the 2D realm. So I'd be totally down to see that come back as well. So pause at 49 seconds. Let's get it going here. And it actually looked like in that scene with the cross bombs that Samus is in a gravity form there. So really quick, pausing here at 57 seconds, we saw another little tidbit of the fight between the Dark Chozo and Samus. But we have got the grapple beam coming back, and it looks like you can do a few different things with it this go around. We're all used to the very standard grapple blocks, and it looks like this time you can actually grapple to the blue sticky walls. I forget what they were called, like the spider walls or spider grip walls or something like that. But it looks like, again, you can just grapple right to them, pull you up. In a few seconds here, we'll see Samus make use of the grapple beam like she did in Samus Returns, where you use it to actually like pull objects either towards you or away from you. I thought that they did a really good job using the grapple beam in Samus Returns. I'm glad to see it in this game have a little bit more like I don't know, fluidity, or like it's not so tied to the grapple blocks, because that's the one thing that I don't really love about using the grapple beam. I love it. I like using it, just not really on the grapple blocks to get around.
Yeah, I think it's one of like the more underutilized upgrades that you kind of get in the Metroid series because, like you said, they're so limited. Like in the Metroid Prime games before, like Corruption, it's pretty much you just used it on the grapple hooks. But now, like I liked at least in Corruption, kind of did like the shield stuff. Samus Returns, as you said, incorporates more stuff, and yeah, now you have those spider walls which you can cling to, kind of like the monkey bars in Fusion, but like and walk up the walls. But you could also shoot over and kind of like Spider-Man your way over to the other wall, which is really awesome and keeps the flow of like the game running, right? Where you're running around, you're sliding around, you're double jumping, you're air dashing, and instead of having to kind of go into this clunky grapple situation, you can just quickly, zip line from one spot to another and dash across to, which gives you some more diagonal options where it seems like the air dash is strictly horizontal. So yeah, that's really cool, and I'm very much looking forward to jumping around and climbing around really quickly. As this game looks like you're gonna be able to like, it's not you're. This is one thing I love about this game is that in past Metroid games I feel like to like go fast you kind of have to know like the nuances of speed running in a Metroid game, and now in this game I feel like the bar's been lowered a bit and the skill floor has been lowered, so now anyone can feel like they're kind of moving and grooving and
Yeah.
kind of staying on their toes and moving a little bit faster and in a more smoother pace without having to be like a speedrunning expert. So I really do like that about this game, and it's going to be awesome to get my hands on it when I get all these cool tools to move faster across the map.
To that point too, like I think that if you can move fast and you're feeling like you're moving really fast, you're probably going to be more like likely to be like, well, I felt like I move fast, how can I go faster, and like get yourself into the speed running realm if that's something that interests you. But at least for me, if I feel like I'm already going really fast, I can be like, okay, how do I make this even more efficient? So I think that it looks really cool.
Yeah.
So let's hit play here at 57 seconds. We still got a minute to go from this trailer. My God. We got to pause at this shot. Oh my God. 1 minute, 1 seconds. We have what looks like I don't know, the head of an Emmy, would you say?
Yeah.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little balls with these ominous red eyes pointing their way at Samus. You've probably already seen the memes, actually, where it's like, one of my favorite one was like,
Oh yeah.
retail stores on 7.59 before a big sale, and like the red things are all the customers. I thought that was funny. But yeah, this is a cool shot, really formidable here, and just another great example of the dread that this game kind of instills in its players. Also, really awesome light effects, both on Samus's suits and these floating Emmy heads.
Yes, definitely. I really love how, I mean, anytime a Metroid like art style or a cutscene goes with like heavy shadows, like absolutely love that because there's so many cool silhouettes in this game. And what I think is most interesting about this cutscene in particular is they aren't just like, Emmy heads or orbs or whatever they are, just kind of floating. They're all on these like tracks on the wall. You can see them kind of shifting up and down on the wall as they kind of get focused on Samus and open up. And you see that in the same time, like this room also has like a Chozo statue, like a Chozo warrior statue on the right. And we know that the Emmys
Yeah.
were sent to the planet. They're not endemic to planet ZDR. They were sent there by the Federation. Yet these orbs or whatever are very clearly on some kind of tracker system in this room, right? So is this like technology, like even though the Emmys were not endemic or, originally from this planet, a lot of this stuff seems like it's intermingled with the Chozo stuff that's on this planet too. And I'm kind of wondering like what the implication of that is. Like, is this also Chozo technology? Like maybe what the Emmys are based off of, even though it's from the Federation. Like, or do they have similar stuff? Like, I'm really, is this like a Federation room on ZDR? So I'm really wondering how that plays out because it looks like it's very ingrained in the actual like systems of the planet itself and the facilities that Samus is finding herself in, and not just like part of the Emmys, which were sent to the planet and are roaming freely, independent of the systems of the planet itself.
Yeah, totally. And I think that a lot of people also kind of forget, or maybe haven't realized, but even I was just replaying Samus Returns not that long ago. When you're fighting the Diggernaut, like that thing looks like an Emmy, very much so. So there's obviously some influence from the Chozo to there's some kind of crossover somewhere, and I think that we're going to learn about it. So yeah, very excited to kind of peel those layers back. Let's hit play.
We also saw the
We are
storm
at
missiles, by the way. Or did you mention that?
Oh no, we're seeing them right now. So
We saw, yeah, there we go, there we
103,
go.
We got the storm missiles.
Yes.
These look awesome.
Yeah, so these are pretty much like the Seeker missiles, but now
Yeah,
they're storm
these
missiles.
look like the Seeker missiles from Corruption. I loved the Seeker missiles. I wish that those, or maybe that was from Echoes actually. Sorry, but anyways, it was one of those things that like, man, I wish that these would come back, and they never did. And I really do like the ability, especially in this one, because you can aim 360 to have the Seeker missiles. I think that that's going to be really cool.
I wonder if you can use that while moving, because it's all the shots. It seems like she's using it while standing, and even though we know she can do 360 aiming and firing while moving now, that's like a special ability. So I'm wondering if maybe that's like just a static, stationary ability. But it would be cool to try to like on the run line up all and paint all of those targets and try to get like a
I feel
storm
like you
missile
could.
off. I think that'd be. I
Because,
would
like,
hope
thinking
so.
about it, I would assume that to activate the storm missiles, you have to hold down R or whatever button is going to be you fire the missiles. And if you hold it down, I would presume that you charge up your seeker missile or your storm missiles in a very similar manner to how you did with your seeker missiles, and then there's no reason for you to stop while doing that. You like lose your target if you're
Mm-hmm.
moving, but I think that you could. So I'm also paused right now on a shot 109. It's a close up of the Dark Chozo's face. Samus just hit him right in the eye with a super missile. He's got this like wicked looking scar across his mask here. This just looks so good.
Oh yeah,
So
now he's
good.
mad. Now he's mad because he's like, oh, you screwed up my fit, messed up
Yeah.
my armor. Now I'm mad.
This guy is just like absolutely not. And he's doing an air dash. He just air dashed to grab Samus right by the throat. My god. So 113 here, we are seeing what again is probably presumably, well, maybe it's not an early boss fight actually, because Samus has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks of energy and 100 missiles here. But we've got some kind of Chozo warrior. I don't know if this is a living, breathing Chozo or some kind of reanimated statue or something, but it is going mano a mano with Samus here. And Samus has the Spazer Beam going on. This thing is coated green. It's got a big spear.
Yeah, this
Awesome.
is
Awesome
this is
stuff.
sick. I love that we get to see. I mean, first off, that the Dark Chozo cutscene is awesome. There's like a raging demon on Samus, like full
Yep.
screen command grab. So cool. And I hope, oh my god, I hope that's an ability that Samus can get. If she can do like an advanced version of like the flash shift, which is like a fuller dash that goes even farther and does damage. Oh my god. Please, I
Oh my
hope
god.
I'm right. But yeah, and then she fights off what seems like some kind of Chozo potentially. Either way, the design of these are so cool. Like I just love like I don't know how to describe it because they're like bird, like dinosaur like, but humanoid as well. Like obviously Chozos are, but just how like you really can't tell if they're actually living or not. But like the sick robotic look to them with like the scaled plating and the staffs. Just it's such a cool design. I love it, and I cannot wait to fight them because they look sick.
Yeah, this just looks like absolutely awesome. And a small room too, so like it's gonna be kind of a close quarters brawl. It looks like, which is something that I really love in Metroid. I love like the physical fights, and this looks
Mm-hmm.
as physical as I get. But what's coming next was very exciting to me. So I'm gonna hit play. We're at 113, and it's back. We get the speed boost coming back and the shine spark. Absolutely awesome. You love to see it back. This ability has not been in a 2D Metroid game since Metroid Zero Mission, as we talked about 15 years ago. Has not been in a Metroid game at all since, my god, since Metroid Other M, which was over a
Yeah.
decade ago. So, man, it's good to see that come back.
You got to have it in a game like this that is emphasizing going a little faster. You got to have the shine spark and the speed boost because that's the ultimate reward for getting some speed.
I don't know if we're going to see it in this trailer or not, or if they showed it on another clip, but a few very, very important things to note about the speed bird or the speed booster is you can jump in this game, land, and continue your speed bird or your speed boost. So that is like
Hmm.
absolutely bonkers. That's going to just completely change how this ability is used, and I think that that's just like such an exciting prospect because before you had to stop, crouch, jump, speed boost, or shine spark, just crouch, speed boost again, and you had to get up like the little ledge that had a hill so that you could shine spark and run. I think like just getting rid of that mechanic and like being able to just continually speed boost while jumping and sliding, by the way, man, that's gonna be awesome. And again, just like this game is all about momentum, uh, seemingly. So it's I can't wait to do some of the Shine Spark puzzles in this game because you know that there are going to be some expansions that require you to do some nifty, crafty Shine Sparking.
Yeah, I think with all the tools mixed together, when you start to like amass this huge toolbox of things that Samus has, but now with all these upgraded like movement abilities and capacity, like you're gonna be able to do some awesome stuff.
Oh, just looks awesome. I paused it to talk about the speed boost here. I'm a second late. I'm at 117. Speaking of awesome stuff, we got the screw attack coming back. That's always a favorite of mine. I was actually just playing NES Troid, and man, the screw attack is just like the greatest ability of all time in that game. But yeah, I'd love to see that come back here. Let's press play at 117 and keep it going. We are nearing the end of this trailer. We've got a bunch of awesome action shots. We got the Spazer. Oh man, we got the Chozo Warrior. He has just got Samus at death's door. He's got her by the throat. He's got that gigantic arm cannon right up in her face. This thing is building power, charging up. Whew. No wonder she gets ability amnesia.
Yeah, she passes out from the submission hold. You know,
Yeah,
she
no,
taps.
no kidding. Well, no, she never taps.
She doesn't
passes out.
tap. She
Right
just
before we
passes
get
out.
here, you mentioned earlier Shadow of the Colossus. That could not be more apt. Samus is running up Kraid's giant Bellis here. He's got this purple, gross thing
Like an ulcer
on
or
his
something.
belly.
And she
Yeah.
just like sticks her foot like right in it, like just immediately.
Sometimes you just gotta do that. You just gotta step right in it and wash your foot after. Kraid's got a bunch of gross stuff on his face, by the way. Kraid looks gross. It's awesome.
He's not doing well. He looks like
No.
he's got like a bunch of stuff going on, and in the neck area. Like he's not doing great. So I wonder if maybe Samus need to put him out of his misery. I think that's the best thing to do for him.
I kind of feel bad for our boy. Like he's chained up. He probably doesn't
He's
want
not
to
he's
be
not
there.
our boy, man. Let's take that back. I'm Team Ridley. So Kraid can
I
get
like Ridley. I
pile
like Ridley as
drove
much as the
through.
next guy, but come on, Kraid is an OG. Kraid has been there since day one.
Kraid is a big punching bag, and he's gonna get bodied like he always does, and he's gonna come back just to job out in the
You know
first
what?
30 minutes of the game.
Let me tell you something that I learned actually playing NES Droid, because I assumed I've been conditioned over the years that Kraid is a big easy pushover and Ridley is a super hard boss. And actually in NES Droid, you can beat Ridley like no problem, and Kraid is the one that's actually fairly challenging. So I never I don't think fully appreciated that until recently.
Well,
Take that for what it's worth.
for what it's worth, I still think it's cool that he's back, but I don't think he stands a chance. So we'll see how long he lasts.
Well, no, I mean, he definitely doesn't stand a chance. He looks terrible.
Yeah.
So let's press play. Samus is running up his body. We see some awesome melee counters here. God, we've got that beam it's charging up, and it just looks so menacing. It looks bad for our hero Samus here. She passes out, but hold on, because something.
No, we're
is
skipping over a
coming.
lot here, man. You're skipping over so much. Hold on. We got to go back
Do
here.
you want to
Hold
go
on.
back? Do you want to talk
Yeah,
about what
well,
the Chozo says?
Well, not even that, because we don't know what he says because he's not speaking English. But so before that, we see the gravity suit. I can't believe you didn't even say anything about it. But
You know what?
we
You're totally right. I'm sorry.
we
I'm
we,
sorry.
we see the gravity. Well, first of all, back on 117, we see Samus running around with the gravity suit in front of this awesome background where she's running in front of a big like Chozo facility with the rain going on. You see the clouds with like the lightning and thunder going off. Looks awesome. And we see a little bit more of that gravity suit just after like this cutscene's jumping in and out because she's fighting another enemy, and we get like a close up. So we see that gravity suit. She does like a counter. Looks really cool. We also see some Chozo enemies aside from that right there where you're looking right now. You see those Chozo. Those look more like robots to me. They have like jetpacks and they're
These look
sliding
like
around on
robots,
the ground.
But they have the arm cannons for sure.
Yes. But then the
Yeah.
other ones that we saw earlier, we see them again around 128, and you can see they have these crazy, grotesque, open, like monster mouths. When you look at them, like they don't look like Chozo at all, man. They look like these crazy monsters with like disgusting looking teeth and whatnot on 128. I don't even know what's going on there.
Before we get to 128, I'm at 122. There's something about this room, and actually even the room that we were just talking about, where you're outside and it's storming and stuff like that. Like, this is a 2D Metroid to be sure, but like looking at all the computer screens and the backgrounds and stuff, like it just looks like such a Metroid Prime setting in a lot of ways. Like this looks like a really cool kind of mix of both of those, and maybe it's just because like the graphics have allowed 2D Metroid to kind of catch up to where Metroid Prime was, but it looks really awesome, and I think it looks like very
Yeah,
very cool.
I think like with with Metroid Prime, so much of it is the ambience, right, and like the environment. And
Yeah,
now when you have a 2D Metroid that can go into these more realistic and lively and animated 3D backgrounds, it gives that same kind of immersion where you have like it's not just this kind of pixelated thing like going on a looped animation that's very short in the background. Now you have these full environments like with a ton of effects and different things moving in the back where there's more depth, not even just like in the far background, but like the closer background, even in like the foreground, you're seeing a lot more happen. So it gives you a lot more, I guess, just a lot more of a dynamic visual, which is more reminiscent of the Prime games.
so really quick too, I'm pausing at 128 where that just weird looking Chozo monster is. He looks like he's missing half of his head. But I do want to point out really quickly that Samus has 10 energy tanks right here, and it looks like there's room for 3 more. So maybe that's the final number of energy tanks, maybe it's not. It also looks like we have the power bombs at this point. I'm presuming that that is what is beside the missiles here. So that's very cool. And we definitely, yeah, we got the purple gravity suit that I callously skipped over here because I was excited about the end. I don't know. I was kind of ready for like a fresh color scheme or something like that. Like the purple looks good, I think, but
We have
something
two
about
fresh
seeing
color
the dread
schemes.
suit. Well, like so you see like the turquoise dread suit, and it's like, man, this is a fresh look for Samus. I'm really digging it. And then like I kind of want to keep that look instead of going back to like the purple that we know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. At the same time, though, I love the purple that we know, so I'm glad to see it back
Yeah.
because it's better than I don't know. I'm never not against seeing the. I'm never against seeing the gravity suit. Like it's always a warm welcome from me. That's one of the best looks that Samus has, and I think it looks great on this version of the suit. So I'm very happy to see it.
All right. Well, I want to get back to the ending here because I think that this is just such a cool shot, and there have been some people that have actually been able to, I don't know, decipher. I guess not necessarily what the Chozo is saying, what it means, but like what he actually says, and they put some words together. I forget what it is, but they've got the sounds together, and apparently they were trying to figure it out what it is that he's saying. Like I was talking about earlier, they're doing that over in Torvis's Discord server. So hopefully we'll find out exactly what he's saying here. But it probably makes sense to me that he's saying like "see you in hell" or something like that, as he's prepared to blow Samus's head off. Very cool shot. The scar on the Dark Chozo's mask here, paused at 133, just looks so good with the reflection of his gigantic arm cannon beam. This looks awesome. And of course, if we press play, we've got Samus like doing anything she can not to pass out. But here it comes. She's passing out. But 138. Something sweeps over her eyes. And this is where I think, so obviously we know that we're going to have the ability amnesia right here. She loses all of her power-ups or whatever. She's going to be left laying. She's going to be left for dead. I think that this is where the Dread suit as we know it takes over. And I think it has something to do with the Metroid DNA or something to do with the X. Whatever it is, something is going to take over her body and heal her. And I think we saw the tease of that in the last Metroid trailer that we saw, when you could see her arm kind of begin to glow a little bit. And I think that whatever that was, that's taken over Samus. That's going to resuscitate her. That is going to change her suit into the Dread suit that we know. What say you? What do you think about that?
I don't think it changes the suit. Definitely not. I still think that has to do with the ability amnesia. Like she just gets knocked out so hard or beaten up so bad that she loses her stuff. She goes back to the blue Dread suit, and she has to work her way back to the yellow Varia suit, then to the gravity, etc. So I don't know if it's related to that. I still think it's going to be some like ulterior rage mode or X factor she can use that she like gets from the Chozo somehow. Like maybe she's somehow able to like steal that like aspect of their power in interacting with them, kind of like how she can absorb the X and stuff related to that. Like maybe somehow she absorbs some Chozo energy or power, and she's able to use
Hmm.
that and like go into rage mode or go into X Factor and become really strong and whatnot. And that kind of enhances her abilities. Maybe it gives her like upgraded versions of her moves. I don't think it's gonna be. I mean, it might have some healing parts to it or regenerative aspects to it, but I don't think that's gonna be the core part of it. I think it's gonna be like the hyper mode of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you know what? I could see that. I could see that. But I don't know. I'm convinced that her suit is there for a reason, and I feel like
Oh, it's
they kind
definitely
of
there for a
teased.
reason. Keeps her safe, bro. Has her weapon on it.
Well, but you know what I'm saying though. Like they said like they made a point to say like you'll have to tune into Metroid Dread to see why like she doesn't have her other suit from Fusion. They made a point of it, so I feel like there has to be some kind of reason, some kind of I don't know explanation or storyline purpose for her Dread suit showing up the way that it does. We did see a lot of Samus in the Varia suit in this, so obviously you do get that back at some point because we saw some from early in the game, but we also saw some from clearly quite deep into the game as well when you've got like half your energy tanks, over 100 missiles. So I think that you do get it back, but I don't know. I feel like this blue dread suit is like I feel like it's tied to the story somehow, and it would make sense to
Oh,
me if you got it because this Chozo did something, and then like the X or the Metroid DNA or whatever it is that's inside Samus willed her back to life somehow. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, maybe. I definitely agree it has something to do with the story, but I do think it's just at the end of the day, it's probably just the power suit, and it's just the base form of the suit, and that's kind of what we're seeing. And then we kind of go from there. That said, what I do think the progression of the game suits are going to be Samus is going to start with the Varia suit. She's going to go back down to the Dread like power suit. Then she'll get the Varia suit back again. Then she'll get the Gravity suit. But then after that, I think the final suit upgrade is going to be she's going to get her own Chozo suit. I think that's
Yeah.
she's going to get something that looks like the Chozo suit, or she's going to outright get one of her own. And I really, really hope that happens because they look so cool. And to give Samus her own version, like with her own helmet, and then like the rest of like the sick pauldrons and like the bigger, oh, like that would be so sick if Samus went into like the new games with that sick Chozo suit and finished this game with the Chozo suit. Man, I'm down for that. I hope that's my prediction.
That'd
I
be
hope that
awesome.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Um, all right, so that is it for the trailer. But there are just like one or two things from the Metroid Dread report that we should just briefly mention as well.
Okay.
Um, Returning to this game from Samus Returns is the Pulse Scan, and I'm happy that it's returning, or the Pulse Radar, I should say. Sorry, I'm happy that it's returning. I don't particularly love this ability, this Aeon ability, because it shows you the map and it shows you all the power ups. But I do love that it's there for like players that want to utilize it. I don't really like using it myself because I just like rolling around and bombing everything. But I think that it's very cool that it is coming back. So good to see that come back.
Yeah, I'm pretty indifferent on it. I'll definitely use it because I want to find the stuff and collect it, but at the same time, I also don't really miss some of like the individual like invisible block morph ball bombing that is, very indicative or characteristic of previous 2D Metroid games. I think that's a part of Metroid games that didn't really age very well, so maybe this is kind of a necessary evil as the series kind of gets a bit more modernized, and so they'll stick with keeping this in the games. I'm okay with it. I still think it doesn't really take too much away from the exploratory part of the game. So, and you don't even have to use it if you don't want to. So you can consume your Aeon energy to air dash all you want if you want, which I think is great because it gives you don't have to like just use this. You have so many other options to utilize that energy and that resource. You don't feel like, well, I only have one or two other options. I might as well just use it for this. You'll still have,
Hmm.
a lot of ways to mix it up.
Yeah, and the only other thing that we should really mention from the Metroid Dread report is the brief little trailer that is on there. We won't break it down because there's really not a lot that happens, but you do see Samus's ship from Fusion, and it looks awesome. It's the purple ship, and it's in glorious HD, so it looks very cool. It's doing a ton of like crazy flips and something like that. And then at the end of the trailer, let's say at about a minute 20 in, you do see Samus, and she's waking up. She's in the Dread power suit. This is very clearly immediately after the Dark Chozo has just bodied Samus. She's in the same room. She is struggling to get to her feet. She can barely get up, and this is the immediate after effect of that fight. So yeah, very kind of a cool trailer. Another little sneak peek into the beginnings of the game. So very, very excited. Awesome trailer.
Can't wait.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure that we'll have another trailer. I think that maybe we could if they have a September Nintendo Direct, which historically they've done. But also, like, I feel at this point, like, Metroid Dread is on it's kind of on cruise control. Like, a lot of people, I think, they're either going to buy it or they're not at this point. But I would be down to see another trailer for sure.
I don't want Nintendo to like start getting comfortable though, because it isn't on autopilot just yet. The game still has a month. There's still no guarantee it'll sell a ton. So I still think they should push. I do think we'll get another trailer. I think we'll get a third trailer before the game launches, likely within the 2 weeks of the game launching, when they start to push more ads and more commercials for the game and more spots for it. I think we could see another gameplay trailer, though I don't think it'll reveal as much as this one has. And it might even be like kind of an amalgamation of previous gameplay we've seen in like the previous two trailers. But I do think they'll release one more trailer, a trailer 3, if you will, before the game launches.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see them releasing trailer 3 and it kind of bringing the focus back on the Emmys somehow. And maybe it's like a tease of like a Ridley Emmy, like we kind of think that there might be, or maybe it's something else entirely. But I could see another trailer. I hope that they do. Like I said, it is kind of like, it's on autopilot. We're gearing up towards October 8th here real fast, but you want to keep the foot on the gas. So
absolutely,
yeah, awesome trailer, and it was awesome to be back and recording with you. It was a long 3 weeks away, but I felt it felt good to be back talking Metroid.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you back. I mean, this episode flew by for me, and I was glad we were able to finally talk about this trailer, because I haven't talked about really too many Metroid spoilers. I mean, shout-outs to the Omega Metroid Discord for being there for me, as we've talked a bunch of spoilers lately. And I've been holding back on Twitter, but I think after this one, I don't know, I might have to talk about Samus wave dashing a bit more and air dashing. Who knows? But yeah, I'm glad to have you back, man. It was awesome to talk about the trailer, and I can't wait to get closer and closer to launch of this game, and then eventually actually talking about Metroid Dread, having played it. It's coming very soon. Yes, can't wait.
It's gonna be crazy. So we're gonna have early impressions of Metroid Dread. That's gonna be like, I think we record 2 days after Dread comes out, so we're gonna have some early impressions. We'll have like a full story review the week after. We'll do a mapping Metroid about our favorite section of the game, whatever section that ends up being. We'll do. There's gonna be so much stuff. The music, the items, the power. There's so much that is going to be, we're gonna be able to talk about here. Which I mean, for a Metroid podcast, like we were in Siberia when we started this. So to see where we are now versus when we started this is pretty incredible. But yeah, that is, my God, that's like a month away. So not even that long. So until we get there, we are going to get out of here for this week. Of course, thank you guys for checking us out. And we encourage you guys to let your Metroid fans or Metroid friends in your life know where they can get their weekly Metroid fix. And check us out over on Twitter. We would really appreciate that, at Omega Metroid Pod. You can check me out at Spiteri316 and Dak out at DakCity_. Check us out over on Discord too. We're always talking Metroid there, and whatever else kind of floats our boat. I think we literally got like a Destiny 2 chat going on. So if you're into that,
yes.
come
play Destiny. We're playing Destiny in the server. Come play.
And we were talking about wrestling too, so
yes.
So come and check that out as well. And check us out over on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your podcasts. Like and subscribe. That is it. That is all. We are out of here, and we will see you guys next week. Take care.